The TV show Orange County Choppers turned Paul Teutul Jr. into a billionaire, but he lost everything in a terrible family fight. His father told him he owed him $5 million. His brother had to pick a side. But there was a time when you and your dad stopped being close. I mean, he fired you. Yes, he did. It was hard at the time, but now I see it was the best thing that could have happened. And when Paul had his own kids, he saw how much their famous fight had really cost. Being a father myself has helped me accept and understand my own father a lot more since I have a son. Today, the man who made some of the most famous bikes in America tells the painful truth about why he hasn't eaten Thanksgiving dinner with his father in 15 years. In the mid-1980s, most kids were either riding bikes, watching cartoons, or playing Xbox. Paul Teutul Jr., on the other hand, thought fun was very different. He worked at Orange County Iron Works when he was only 12 years old, where it was hot and noisy. Other kids were at the beach, but Paul was cleaning up metal shavings from the workshop floors and giving grown men tools to help them weld steel. He used to go to his dad's job site and play with scrap metal like it was a toy before that. He put them together in the shape of little figurines, making art out of things other people would have thought were trash. What they saw early on changed everything. At age 14, Paul could already weld with such calm accuracy that even the more experienced guys looked up to him. He learned more than just how to do things, he also learned how to think like a maker. Things weren't always bright and shiny in the shop, though. Paul Sr., his dad, was known for being tough, and he didn't treat his son well. He was often tougher on him than on anyone else. Junior made too many mistakes to get away with them. He would be yelled at in front of everyone if something went wrong. A few people thought it was unfair, but Senior thought it would make him stronger. They grew apart more and more as the years went by. I also believe that the show caused a lot of harm to the family. Paul Sr. liked raw force and doing things the old-fashioned way. Paul Jr. was more interested in art and liked things with clean lines and fine details. Junior changed the way a fence looked and was built one summer to make it stronger. His dad turned it down at first, but a few days later, he agreed and used the design without saying a word. That moment said everything. There was respect there deep down, but there was always a tug of war. In high school, most people were studying hard for math tests, but Paul Jr. went in a different direction. He signed up for a job program that let him learn brain work during the school day. He learned how to read blueprints, how to weld, and how to find the stress places in steel. Something his teacher told him was very special. He could tell how metal wanted to move before he touched it. Junior practiced every cut and joined for hours after class until it felt natural. He knew he could do well even without a fancy degree. He only had to get better at what he did. He wasn't the kid cleaning floors when he went back to his dad's shop after high school. He was a skilled maker who could talk like a pro and make things that looked good. Paul Jr. was in charge of the railing section at Orange County Iron Works by the age of 19. That's a big job. It brought in almost half of the company's money. Most people would think it was because of family ties, but Junior really did deserve it. He gave them more style choices and brought the shop up to date. People were ready to pay more and wait longer just to get something he made because his designs were so famous. He was also in charge of a group of workers who were a lot older than him. Some were veterans of war, and some were skeptical at first. But as time went on, even the most stubborn ones came around and accepted he knew what he was doing. Now, what do you think? Are you planning to use an Indian reason? He changed a metal shop into a place that people talked about. You have to work hard to earn that kind of respect. But there was still something missing. Junior felt trapped after years of making stairs and railings. His goal was to make something living that could move. He lit that spark when, after a long day at work, he started drawing motorbikes in an old notebook without anyone knowing. At that point, his dad also started riding bikes again. It began jokingly. He asked Junior to help him make one, But Paul Sr. was shocked when he saw what his son had drawn. It was more than just technical, it was also art. Senior looked at his son that day and said, "Let's build bikes for real." He meant as a business, not just for fun. It was about more than just bikes. The goal was to fix something much bigger, the many years that had passed between them. The family's ironworks business gave them about $175,000, which they used to start Orange County choppers, but it wasn't fair. Senior got 80% back, Junior got 20%. It wasn't important yet. They only had a dream and a bunch of tools in a cold basement. But after a few months, people started to notice the bikes they built. It took them 4 long months to make their first one, True Blue. There were late nights, a lot of welding, and blue paint with white flames. No way that could have come from a frozen shed in upstate New York. It looked like it came from a big-time builder. People were shocked when they brought it to Daytona in 1999. They were no longer unknown, but it wasn't easy for them to be successful. They were making bikes in a small, cold garage in 2000. The tools broke. Providers asked for payment in advance. We quickly ran out of money. To stay on schedule, Paul Jr. often worked 80-hour days and slept on a couch in the shop. They fought all the time in big yelling fights, not for fun, but to stay alive. They barely broke even on each bike they sold. Still, they kept going. They did it because they couldn't stop, not because they had to. Then there was a call in 2002. A magazine story about their bikes caught the attention of a TV director named Craig Pelijan. He looked around for a new TV show. "What the hell do you want?" Paul Sr. asked the caller when he picked up the phone. The producer pitched a show about fixing up bikes from garage sales. Sr. turned it off right away. He said, "We build them from scratch." After a few weeks, the producer came back with a better idea, and the deal almost didn't happen. Show the real process on film with all the arguments. Paul Jr. didn't like the idea. He was afraid that the cameras would make everything worse. He even sent his dad a 5-page letter that said, "They'll make us look like fools." The deal was rude. $5,000 an episode, as many retakes as they wanted, and lighting that was so hot it made their welding fail. At one point, the show's makers thought of the name Family Friction. Paul Jr. They almost walked away, but they had to sign for the money. No one knew what would happen after the March 31, 2003, launch of American Chopper. It blew up in just 3 shows. Every week, more than 3 million people watched. All of a sudden, they were famous, and not just bike makers. People from all over came to see their little shop. Items flew off the shelves. That first season alone brought in $13 million for Discovery Channel. To keep up, the two Teutuls had to move into a huge $12 million building. At first, people were interested in Paul Sr. because of his bad mood, but Paul Jr. was the one who kept an eye on them. Fans did not care about the trouble. They loved seeing him get stronger. Junior's plans worked like magic. Quiet, focused, and exact. In fact, a scene of him building a gas tank with no words or music was one of the most watched videos ever. In America, more and more people signed up for welding schools. The Polly effect was the name for it. Then the Black Widow came along and changed everything. It wasn't just a bike. It was a sentence, a spiderweb gas tank, handmade wheels, and 167 hours of hard work. It was shown for the first time in New York, where 15,000 people crowded in to see it. Police had to keep the crowd in check. They soon sold everything from model kits to clothes to video games. In just 6 months, more than 280,000 model kits were bought. It turned OC into a brand, not just a store. The Firebike wasn't just another helicopter when Paul Jr. finished building it in June 2003. It was a big moment in his career. He was making more than just a bike. An honor to the fireman who died on September 11, 2001. He was building it. That meant that each part of the bike had to have a message. The real piece of steel from the World Trade Center was one of the most powerful elements. That wasn't given to someone else by Paul. He put it on himself with weld. He made the diamond plate bracket just for this bike and connected the sharp piece of metal to it. That was the last piece, and it made me cry the most, but that wasn't the only trick. He had to completely rethink the bike's frame because the plan was so big. It had to hold 343 hand-painted symbols, one for each fireman who had died. It took a lot of work to make something with that much weight, both literally and figuratively. And when the bike crashed the next year, the New York Fire Department didn't handle it like any other accident. They came right away and carefully picked up the broken bike as if it were a fallen friend. That's how important it was. It's still in OC Museum. It's been to more than 248 events. People still go there, cry, and leave memories and personal notes next to it. After many years, Paul Jr. would think about the hurt and power of 9/11 again with a different project, a second tribute bike. This one came out on January 20, 2011, and there was a huge response. People from all walks of life came. It drew together people like Michael Bloomberg, the mayor of New York and the head of the 9/11 Memorial. Daniel R. Tishman, a board member of the memorial, asked Paul to make something that people would remember, and he did. More than one bike, in fact, one stayed as a gift. The other one was given away as a raffle to help pay for the funeral. The tickets were sold in person and online, and the whole amount of money went to help the 9/11 Museum. People cried that day when the bike's cover came off. The emotional weight of what that machine stood for hit everyone, from grown men to families to tourists. The picture told a story without saying anything. The word got out to people who couldn't be there because the Huffington Post wrote a whole story about it. But what was really amazing was the smarts that were hiding behind the flashy paint and chrome. Paul Jr. did more than just make bikes look good. In 2012, he quietly brought a new method to the world of motorcycles that changed everything. He started to use T-spling, a tool that helped him make smooth, bent shapes more easily. It only took 15 hours to do what used to take over 40 hours. And that method was very important when he used Autodesk to build an electric bike. Soon, other shops copied the idea, but they often didn't know where it came from or give credit. Then, in 2015, Paul did something that made his team shocked. He came up with a way to make motorbike frames stronger but lighter. It changed the way they built customs in a big way. He didn't end there. He learned how to write G-code on his own. G-code is a computer language for CNC machines. Before, he was just the person who planned the bike. He could now also run the tools. He went from being an artist to a machinist and worked on both the artistic and technical parts of the build. The fights between Paul Teutul Sr. and his son didn't start out of the blue. It began in secret in 2007 when Sr. gave Jr. a 20% stake in their business but kept full control. It looked like a fair set-up at first. The business is run by father, son brings the style. The balance started to tip, though, as Jr.'s ideas got more attention and fame. No longer were people admiring Sr.'s old-fashioned work. Sr.'s crazy plans were being talked about, which made the man who built Orange County choppers hate them. There was jealousy going on behind the scenes. Sr.'s grip got stronger. It set off a spark every time Jr. was late or did his work in his own way. It got tougher to put out as it burned longer. The shop was a war zone by 2008. There were often fights between the father and son. They happened every day. It was mostly about being in charge. Jr. wanted to be able to make things. Sr. wanted people to obey. It was a battle of worlds. Spirit of creativity vs. strict control. They got some of it on American Chopper, but not the worst of it. Sr. became more mean when the lights went out. Not just with Kid. The artist Jason once smashed his own work to pieces after one of Sr.'s rants. Everyone in the store was careful. Mikey, the younger brother who is funny and keeps the peace, couldn't get away from the emotional damage. He looked broken, like being yelled at for years had finally worn him down. Then there was a big fight. September 2008. The junior was late again and the senior lost it. It turned into a screaming match in front of the whole crew during what should have been a warning. I want to be with my dad, but getting out of that bad relationship helped me grow mentally, emotionally, and in every other way. It was like getting out from under my dad. After that, I was on my own. So Junior could defend himself. Senior wouldn't listen. Junior said he always got the job done. Junior answered. He said that OC would not work without him, that was it. Junior got so angry that he threw a chair and then a trash can across the office. Senior then lost it. He slammed a door and stormed out. Junior went after him and fired him right then. That time you threw that chair didn't just damage furniture. It broke up what little work relationship they had left. After many years, it would become a joke. At the time, though, it was a mess. There was confusion after the shots were fired. The group was split up. Some people backed Junior. Others kept quiet because they were afraid of Senior's anger. People started to worry. If the person who designed their bikes died, would the bikes still be magical? The network even went crazy. Junior got a warning from TLC because he had broken his contract by leaving the show. He came back as a worker for a short time, but it didn't last. He was done for good by April 2009. Junior went even further. He wanted Junior to have no part in the business at all, so he moved to buy his 20% share. Senior sued Junior when Junior wouldn't sell. The mess with the law wasn't just about money, it had to do with power. Senior wanted to be in charge again. He said he had the right to pay $500,000 to get rid of Junior shares. After that, he filed a case and asked for another $1 million in damages. He even put his own company on the wrong side of the case, which meant that Orange County helicopters were on both sides. It was an evil move meant to get Junior out of there for good. Junior wouldn't give up, though. One badly written part of the contract caused all the trouble. It said that Senior could buy Junior's shares at fair market value, but it didn't explain how to figure out what that meant. That unclear language would be used against you in court. In 2010, when the case went to the New York Supreme Court, the first decision went in Senior's favor. The judge agreed that the buyout clause was legal and asked a third party to figure out how much the shares were worth. Junior seemed to be done. They sat next to each other in court and didn't even look at each other. Junior made a case, though, and in December everything changed. The appellate court changed the decision. They said it was impossible to apply the clause because it wasn't clear enough. That meant Junior kept his 20% share in OC and Senior couldn't get rid of him. It was a huge gain in court, and for me personally as well. Everyone thought the son had been killed, but he was still there and his father couldn't get rid of him. That being said, my relationship with my dad is one in which we don't fight. That's what I'll say. Do I mean, are we going to hang out? Please don't think that we are hanging out. Things aren't terrible, but they might be better. That's okay, though. You know, these things take time sometimes. Junior still couldn't make bikes right away. He couldn't work for anyone else for a year. That meant that no motorcycles would be made until 2010. He turned around. He began designing products such as a dog park and a new look for Coleman's Grill. It was one of the worst times of his life, he said. He kept going, though. He and his wife changed a room in their house into an office, hired a young man to do computer work, and started Pole Jr. Plans, which is right next to OC. Just as Pole Jr. S1 year deal with Orange County Choppers was ending in April 2010, he did something that no one saw coming. He did not just open his own bike shop. Instead, he started a full-on mutiny. Vinny DiMartino, Joe Pilafico, Nub Collard, and even his own brother Mikey, who had been very important to OC, quit and followed him. Cody Connolly soon joined as well. It wasn't just a change in business. There were a lot of people who left, and Paul Sr. was devastated and angry. The Discovery Channel didn't wait around for anything. They used the backlash to make reality TV gold. by starting a new show called Senior vs. Junior. Each week, a father and son competed in a fight that blurred the line between family and ratings. It was clear from this show that Paul Sr. and Jr. were having a hard time with each other. It started airing in August 2010, and each show made things worse. Paul Jr. wasn't sure if they should show their family drama on national TV, but Paul Sr. was all for it. The shop fights were meant to be dramatic, and people in the crowd were asked to choose a side. It was called Tantrum TV by one critic who was right. The bikes were less important than the emotional damage. Now this wasn't just for fun anymore. This was real pain that was put on display for everyone to see. People still couldn't turn away. Something strange happened in the middle of all this chaos. Paul Jr. I met Rachel Beast while filming a show. Something just clicked when she showed up in a yellow costume as the McCuff girl. What began on TV turned into something important. A lot of cases were being filed, and the Teutul name was being used in many places. Rachel gave Paul Jr. something solid to think about. She ran her own store and had her own job, and she quickly became the calm in his storm. Paul found balance and eventually a stronger trust in her, which changed everything in his life. The wedding they had in August 2010 should have been a new beginning. It was lovely, and there was even a 6-tier cake from TLC Cake Boss. But everyone saw that one chair was empty. Paul Sr. did not show up. He was asked to come, but the cases and bad feelings were still too fresh. On one of the most important days of his life, his father wasn't there. This hurt a lot. It felt like something or someone was missing, even though there were more than 100 people. That absence wasn't just for one person. It was a sign of how far apart they got from each other. The scars didn't heal quickly even after years had passed. Then, in 2015, Paul Jr. had his own child. He and Rachel had a hard time getting pregnant. They tried for almost 2 years in New York, and finally it happened. During a short trip to Nashville, for some reason, and Paul Jr. said that having Hudson changed the way he saw everything, even his own father. He knew what he had lost in all the years of silence and courtrooms when he held his son. He realized for the first time what it meant to be a dad and how hard it must have been for his dad to see him leave. In the time between the drama in court and the chaos on TV, Paul Jr. went through a quiet change. He began to think about things more seriously, especially his faith. He said he wasn't happy with how he was living in an interview, even with Rachel. When she went on a powerful spiritual vacation, things changed. They made a brave choice, no getting close until marriage. They both cared about it, even though it wasn't easy. He finally made the move. They kept the same faith when they got married, and it became a driving force in Paul Jr.'s life. He even started talking about it in public, sharing his story to help others find their own way through hard times. His faith eventually gave him the strength to look back and talk to the man he used to be afraid to talk to. For Hudson as well as himself, whenever he saw his son, he knew what it would cost him to keep quiet. That's when the real healing started. There were fights between Paul Teutul Sr. and Paul Jr. They were never just about bikes. They were private, angry, and very emotional. What began as a family business turned into one of the ugliest fights reality TV had ever seen. Not only did millions of people watch as custom bikes were built, but they also saw a father and son fight with each other as each wrench was turned. In 2011, they had their biggest fight, which was a broadcast buildup that showed how different they had become. Senior chose his usual rough and angry style, while Junior made a bike that looked like the P-51 Mustang fighter plane. Beautiful, unique, and full of life. It did more than just run. It had a story. He made it clear that Junior wasn't just making things. He was putting things together. It kept taking place. From 2010 to 2016, they played each other in a number of events. But Paul Jr. won 5 times out of 7. Each time he showed that he wasn't just a kid working for his dad, but a real force. Junior didn't just start a business when he left Orange County Choppers in 2009. He made a huge country. Most people thought he'd go away since he was banned from working for a year. He instead worked with Coleman to make a grill. During a bad market, that change helped his business stay open. It led to more deals after that one. He began selling things, making dog toys, and even constructing a public dog park. His name did better than his dad's by 2012. His line of clothes made more money. People were using his bikes in big business efforts. He worked with big companies like Blizzard and Paramount. He was no longer just making bikes. He was creating for some of the biggest names in show business and making a lot of money. But even the hottest fights can end. When Helen Teutul, Paul Jr.'s grandmother and Paul Sr.'s mother, died in December 2011, it was one of the most raw times the show had ever shown. Junior called his dad on the phone. They talked for almost 2 years before. There were only a few short words said. "She really cared about you. I'm sorry about your loss." Senior didn't know what to say on the other end. You could hear something change in his voice as he said he wished it had been in person. There was sadness and maybe even sorrow behind the anger. It wasn't a miracle, but that moment was real. The 2018 get-together between Paul Teutul Sr. and Paul Jr. It wasn't a big personal deal for the family. TV makers planned and pushed for it as a business move to make money off of old dramas. They hadn't talked to each other in almost 10 years. After their very public fight in 2009, which finished with Senior firing his son from Orange County Choppers, there was a long period of silence. Discovery Channel didn't want to heal when they suggested a meeting. Fixed a broken motorbike, not a family that was broken. They chose the helicopter that was themed after the Yankees and was built in 2005. It had been sold and then destroyed for some reason. Some people even said it might have been broken to get insurance money. The network had a great reason to bring them back together after that mess. It was tense behind the scenes. They each had their own shooting dates, strict rules, and even backup plans in case things got bad between them. Senior tried to act calm by saying they were a little older and smarter, but everyone knew this wasn't going to be a friendly get-together. After 2 years, The Last Ride, a 2-hour special that was meant to end everything, came along. It made things worse instead. It began with good goals. ABC Supply paid for this national bike to stand for family and honor. But it was clear from the start that nothing had changed. Like in the past, Senior didn't care about what his son had to say. People on the crew could feel the stress, and in the background, the old OC shop was being torn down. It had strong moments that didn't last long. Later, Junior said that the only time he felt good was when he and his dad worked together without cameras around, just building like they used to. But that didn't happen very often. Senior told everyone he hadn't wanted to do it when the bike was ready. It didn't help our relationship. He told me fans were very angry as people pointed out Paul Sr.'s rude behavior. Hashtags like Respect Paul Jr. became popular. They're not close now, despite what the ads say. Not at all. As of 2025, their lives are very different from each other. They only talk when they have to because of the terms of their business deal. Between 2018 and 2023, they worked on a few bikes together. However, people who know them say it was all for the cameras. Junior said in a podcast not long ago that he and his dad haven't eaten together at a holiday meal in over 15 years, not even after Junior was born. Both of their businesses are split up too. Senior is still in charge of Orange County Choppers. Junior made Paul Jr. Designs into a $14 million brand with license and clothing deals. That they don't want to work together again because it hurt their relationship seems to be something that both guys agree on. They are in the same spotlight now, but not in the same world. Junior is now ready to talk. He said in February 2025, that a new book called Given the Opportunity would be out in October. But this story won't be finished enough for TV. People who know say it will be raw and completely honest. It's likely to show a lot of things that were left out of American Chopper, like a fight in 2008 that almost got physical. His first book was about his job and his religion. This new book is much more serious. His dad struggles with drinking and how it hurt their family for a long time. Junior told everyone that he is no longer lying. He thinks that telling others about it might help people who have been through similar family problems.